Hey everyone. Man, well, you guys spoke and I listened. So apparently you really like the random like mod thoughts or mod reviews, so to speak, where I kind of speak about what I think about each mod, my thoughts for builds and stuff like that. So because of that, I decided that I'll go ahead and keep doing this. May change the format here and there just to see what you guys seem to like. For this series, obviously, because this is going to be something that we will go ahead and keep doing, I'm just going to go ahead and call them mod reviews, because basically I'm looking at each mod. I'm going with my recommended builds, hopefully at least 2 loadouts, because that's the standard everyone starts with. You can always purchase more loadouts if you wish. It's not necessarily a bad idea to have 3 or 4 loadouts to purchase extra ones if you want specific quick loadouts for certain setups, certain builds, Helio, Nyx, you know, stuff like that. So that's what we're gonna do. And I asked in the Atlas chat while I was in game, and one of the requests was do one for pup. So here's my pup mod review. Now, these are all pups taunts. You probably already know what those are. Let's get to the mods. So these are the current builds that I run with. This is probably my most common because I really only pick pup if there's a Nyx. And obviously my loadout here is called Goodbye Nyx. So here's the mods that I run for specifically to counter Nyx. We'll go through each mod individually, and then I'll talk about why I have this loadout specifically. So for first up, we have Megabite. Megabite, for anyone who's new to the game or doesn't know, chomps enemies dealing 36 direct damage and recover 10 health per hit. This gives you 10 energy per enemy you hit. That's pretty big. You hit all 4, that's 40 energy. Now, Megabite is a pretty short AoE, so all 4 of them would literally have to be clumped up together in a 4 square space in order for you to actually hit them all. But let's go ahead and go over the mods here. Bloodhound is the first mod. Increase health recovery by 2 per enemy hit. This isn't necessarily a bad mod. I've run this quite a few times. This is a mod you must run if you want to do that whole frontliner pup type thing. You're really gonna want as much survivability as possible. Pup has a lot of base health, and he can act as a pseudo frontliner similar to Tol Rin now. And I've saw him kind of explode as a frontliner that a lot of people want to rush early on this season. It seems to have died down, at least from my ranked games. But yeah, like he can be a pseudo frontliner, so to speak. I still don't necessarily like running that. I think if you want to do the whole pup frontliner, then you need double support instead of the ones that I've seen here are where they run triple damage dealers, including pup, with 1 support. Now, I think if you want to use pup as a pseudo frontliner, then you need double support. You probably need a really long range damage dealer, preferably Zuki. And for supports, I'd probably recommend Kita and Helio as the best. Kita, Orion, or Helio, those 3. Any of those combinations will be probably pretty good. Aurora, maybe, if you want the big heal, but Orion's almost a must because you get extra beefness with Orion as another tanky, probably the tankiest support, or non-frontliner, I believe. And I mean, Surin might not be bad. Anyways, though, mods. So yeah, that's something. Bloodhound is not a bad mod. That's something I absolutely recommend if you want to do that whole frontliner pup thing. Bite and Run. Increase the cooldown of Paw Patrol by 1, or reduce it by 1 when turn Megabites deal damage. This isn't bad if you want to play this assassin style pup where you consistently are going invisible, consistently dealing damage. This is literally the melee Nyx build, basically, with Bite and Run. You just want to keep reducing Paw Patrol's cooldown, keep going invisible, keep trying to chunk out the squishy's health. This is basically literally the Kaigen, excuse me, I said Nyx. This is the Kaigen, where you're basically going to be dotting in and out. You go invisible, bam, chunk someone for a turn or 2, then go invisible later on 3rd turn, I believe, and then bam, start all over. So that's what you would want to use Bite and Run for. Rabid is one that I actually use for my standard build, I believe. Use Megabite, increase the damage of Megabite next turn by 6. I only use that build when I really have Orion. Orion. Helio's also not too bad, but Orion or Helio is when I'll take Rabid because you can get a ton of damage. The base damage from Megabite is 36. So plus an additional 6, you're getting 42, I believe. 42 damage done with a bite. Like, that is insane considering you're probably hit the person you're hitting is probably someone you hit last turn. So overall, you're hitting them for a total of, let's see, 78 damage, of course, for 2 turns. That's insane. And then, of course, Pounce and Walkies right next to that. You can likely delete somebody in like 3 or 4 turns with just this, with taking Rabid. It makes that big a difference. Now, again, this increases using Megabite increases the damage of Megabite next turn. So that means you can hit one Freelancer and then go to another. It's not necessarily the most popular mod, I believe. I use it, but only, again, specifically with Orion and Helio. And I think it's just not popular because you're consistently Megabiting, basically. Like, the idea here is consistently use Megabite, where you really want to play around Pounce, Walkies, and Prowl Protocol. So, it's not the most popular one. I'd only recommend it after you've played Pup for quite a while, because using Rabid, you really can't be following. It's tempted. It sounds like, oh, just hit Rabid and follow a Freelancer. I wouldn't do that. Not with Rabid. With Rabid, you really want to fight, and you want to predict movements or move to another opponent. Using Rabid means you have to understand the game to a point that you feel comfortable moving around the map without follow as a melee damage dealer. So that's my recommendation. Of course, Tasty Target, hit enemies are revealed until end of next decision mode. This is basically the counter to invisible characters, Kaigen, Nyx, or anyone else you just want to chase down to make sure they don't escape in the fog areas. So Tasty Target is probably one of the most popular mods right now. In my opinion, I could be wrong, but I believe Tasty Target is probably the most popular when it comes to Pup. But that's also because, again, you generally want to pick Pup when it comes to a Nyx or a Kaigen, anyone who has invisibility. Specifically because this one little mod is that powerful. Let's move on to Pounce now. Now, Pounce, again, for anyone who's new to Pup or doesn't know, charge an enemy, automatically chasing the target and dealing 35 direct damage. Ignores covers and can jump to allies. So again, key thing here, by the way, that I want to call out, you chase the target. This is the same as Asana's dash. Once you hit them, enemy or ally, you will follow wherever they go. So if it's an ally, try to communicate with your ally that you're going to pounce on them. So that way they move to, like, if they're going to move behind a cover spot, let's say this whole thing is a cover. So if they're going to move just to right here, see if they'll move over by 1 or something, so that way you can move into cover next to them. That takes a lot of communication and coordination, especially trying to talk to someone who does not know about follow or anything like that. It's really hard. I would assume this is it's a lot more easier to coordinate in competitive play, or at least over voice comms. But let's get to the mods again. Impact Volley, Pounce damage decreased by 4. This isn't a bad mod. This is a mod that I see quite a bit. Basically, you turn that 35 damage into a 39 damage. And considering that Pounce is rarely missed in games for some reason, I don't know why. Like, Pounce is the one ability that I rarely see missed. Like, it usually connects. A smart Pup player will always get hit Pounce. So for a 39 on a 2-turn cooldown, that is huge. That's pretty big. You basically Pounce, you can move with Prowl Patrol, stuff like that. The next turn, and then Pounce again. Like, Pounce is pretty strong. I feel like 2 turns wrong. But that sounds really short. I haven't played Pup in a couple patches, but it sounds really short. I don't know. Anyways, but yeah, still. Increase by 4. That's still a pretty popular mod. If an enemy hit by Pounce dies, gain 30 health at the beginning of the next turn. This is probably the most useless mod to have on Pup right now. Now, I don't mean to get anyone upset. I'm sure there's some out there who are like, what are you talking about? So here's where number crunching and math can come into play. So at most, you're going to get 5 kills a game, right? But once you get that 5th kill, the health doesn't matter. So really, this health is going to matter for the total of 4 turns, right? For 4 kills. Okay, so in 4 kills, you'll get 30 health. Again, the 5th kill doesn't matter because by the 5th kill, the game's over. At least it should be, unless you're going to overtime. But I don't ever consider overtime, just so you know, because it's not something that should happen super often. It can, but overall, you're looking to get 5 kills without giving up as many kills. So I focus on that more than the possibility of an overtime. Anyways, so you should get like 4 health. No, so in that sense, you're basically gaining 120 health total by this mod. Now that doesn't sound too bad, but when you come to think about it, this requires you to get the final hit, or at least, you know, they die when you hit Pounce. It usually isn't Pounce that kills people, from my experience at least. And I've played quite a few games with Pup. I've seen Pup played quite a bit. It usually isn't Pounce, usually Megabite or Subwoof. Pounce does get probably the 3rd most kills out of those 2. Well, Walkies sometimes, not really. But yeah, Pounce, this for 120 heal, and that's only if you kill them. If not, then it goes down. I mean, if you kill them with Megabite, bam, that 120 heal for the game suddenly gets reduced by 30 to a 90, possible 90 heal to the game. This, compared to the other mods you could get here, and even the one mod right here, this is probably the most useless one to get. I do not recommend it. I honestly wish this mod was reworked a little bit. I'd rather have a shield after hitting an enemy or something like that. Feast just is not that great in my opinion. Moving on to playtime, probably another one of the most, next to impact velocity, this is probably another one of the most popular mods and one that I love to use. Alright, hold on. let me catch my breath. This is probably one of the most popular mods here. And the reason why is the increased range by 3. That is already huge. Like, Pounce already has a pretty big distance. So increasing the range by 3 is actually really huge. You're basically going almost across the entire map on a small map. On Flyway, I believe you can go across like half the map with just this one mod. Playtime is probably so valuable, and as a 1 mod cost, 1 token, like, this is probably the most valuable mod to have. I absolutely recommend this mod on any build. Now that goes to Rush of Blood real quick. Gain 10 health on hitting an enemy. Again, if you want to play that whole frontliner pup type thing, this isn't necessarily a bad mod to get because you're still healing along with Megabites. This kind of goes on with my Titus build, but yeah, as long as you're still healing, then you're still getting health back. You can be this pseudo frontliner type freelancer. Pup liner, a front pup liner. Yeah. Anyways, so Rush of Blood isn't that great, but if you want to be a frontliner, then it's a pretty cool mod to have. But outside of that, normal pup players, I'd absolutely recommend playtime 100%. Now we're moving on to Walkies. So on Walkies, this is a refresh for anyone. Again, if you have not played Pup, or if you're curious about to play in Pup but not entirely sure how abilities work, there's a little image video there for you to watch too. Leash an enemy, dealing 30 direct damage, revealing them until the end of next decision mode, and forcing them to chase you during the move phase. This is important because not only are you leashing them, are you doing damage to them, but basically wherever you move, they have to follow you unless they have unstoppable equipped. If they're unstoppable, if they have the status effect unstoppable, then they go where they please. But let's go with the first mod, retractable leash, increased range by 1. I have this for my Goodbye Nyx build because there's those times when Nyx reappears and he's just at the edge of where I want. It's happened so many times where he's just at the edge that increased range by 1 is the one that I really wanted to get. It's probably not all that great. I mean, the 3 additional energy on hit is not bad because you already have 12 to begin with, so that's 15. So that's not bad to have with high strung. Again, this one's actually the one that I ran with the longest with. Cooldown reduced by 1, damage reduced by 5. So basically, instead of doing 30, you do 25. but you get a cooldown to 3 instead of 4. So that's on average about 1 more time you can use it per game if you use it off cooldown, I believe. Hold on, I gotta do the math. 4, 5. Yeah. So you can use this about 1, maybe 2 more times if you go overtime just a little bit. But cooldown reduced by 1, damage reduced by 5. I like, again, it's the mod that I ran with the longest. But overall, I equipped this just because I was having that issue where I think, I don't know, 10 games in a row. Not like back to back, but you know, over the course of the times that I played PUP. There's 10 games in a row or so where, or at least it felt like it, where I was just 1 square away. So I got frustrated and ended up equipping this mod. So that kind of explains why I have that. We're out. Target slow next turn. A great mod if you have the space for it. Now, for retractable leash, compared to the value of some of the other mods you have here, is not one you necessarily have the mod. This is the one where if you really want, if you want to squeeze in some 3 mod tokens here, you can go ahead and select no mod for that one. It's not a bad idea if you want to get some of the more popular ones for, especially Paw Patrol and Subwoof. Then if you're really up for it, you can select none. It doesn't hurt too much. So I mean, none of these are a must-have out of Walkies. None of the mods here are must-have. So that's why I'm not going over it super in depth for here. Again, I only have this one equipped because I was frustrated. The high strung is okay. Again, is pretty okay. Wear out is okay. None of these are super amazing. I mean, as it is, most freelancers, once you tag them with Walkies, will get healed or shield or dash away. Actually, a lot of them will dash away or use catalyst, which is good because you're expending that. But I mean, it gets to the point where slowed is kind of useless until later in the game, once all the catalysts are expended and they don't have dash. So it could help you secure that game, the game with that. But this is probably the one you can select none on because a lot of people like to get the 3 mods for Paw Patrol, Subwoof, Megabite's 3 mod. What's Megabite's 3 mod? Okay, that is Rabbit. If you really want to go for it. Speaking of though, Paw Patrol, the 3 mod, you got 2 of them. Alright. Amped up, game energized for 3 turns. Using the ability will remove this effect at the end of the turn. This is pretty obvious. Basically, so energize lets you get more energy to build up for your ultimate quicker. I've seen, oh gosh, I forgot his name. Or her, I'm not sure. But there's one player who used amped up, and he would consistently get 2 to 3 ultimates per game. And I don't mean like, oh well, a lot of people get 1 to 2 ultimates on PUB. No, I mean to the point where I would see 3 ultimates a lot. And this is under 20 turns. I'm not joking. He or she was able to utilize amped up and work around the energy buffs around the map so effectively that I would see those 3 ultimates per game and just freak out and be like, what the F? Like that's on a whole nother level. Those who play around the energy, a lot of hardcore Nyx players do that as well, where they can work off energy gains and drone placements to where they get their ultimate at like turn 5 or some crazy stuff like that. So I don't know. Amped up is pretty good if you really know what you're doing, know how to play around. It's a 1 turn, so if you really want it, you can. But other than that one player, I've not seen anyone really use this that much. So might not be the one to start with, but something pretty cool. Caught the scent. Your first attack out of stealth also reveals the target until the next turn. This is pretty good against Nyx as well. And I had it for the longest in this build specifically against Nyx. But okay, I'll talk about it when I get to it, but just say Hunting Dog is way too valuable. So first attack reveals target out of next turn. It's not a bad mod if you want to go ahead and have a 2 mod, if you need to make space for something else and you really want, you're facing an invisible character or something. This is a pretty good mod. Pretty good mod to have. Single-minded, gain unstoppable for the turn. Again, Unstoppable I think is so critically undervalued, and I've seen a lot of people start to use it lately. Mods that have Unstoppable on it. Unstoppable, in my opinion, is really, really good. Like, it's getting to the point where I think it's one of the, it's slowly inching to a top tier status effect. Because there's a lot of times, well, as we get further in this game, more Lancers are being added, and more abilities be moved out of position or knocked back or something. Status effect, rooted, and Unstoppable stops all that. So, really good thing to have if you're really worried about a really crowd control heavy team. You know, we're talking Bryn, knockbacks. If you're a pup trying to chase an enemy team that has an Aurora on it, or the Aurora herself, because that heal will knock you back. And if you have this, you don't get knocked back anymore. And since this isn't used too often, single-minded, not too many will expect it. Like, they'll be like, oh, it's okay, so you get knocked back. And they realize, oh no, he followed me. Now I gotta blow a dash, or now I'm dead if they don't have a dash. Dog Shelter, gain 20 shields until the end of next turn. This is one that I've seen quite a bit. A way to avoid some damage when you want to just sit there. But it's for that reason that you can get damage when you go invisible that I choose Hunting Dog. Hunting Dog, in my personal opinion, again, this is my opinion, guys, is probably the most valuable mod on Pup. Especially for Paw Patrol. Prowl Protocol. Gosh, I always call it Paw Patrol. I'm thinking of the stupid cartoon that my son watches. Anyway, gosh darn it. Prowl Protocol. How long in this video I've been calling it Paw Patrol? Oh my god. And I don't even want to see the comments. Oh my goodness. My son's gotta stop watching that cartoon. Anyways, Prowl Protocol. Excuse me, Hunting Dog is probably the most valuable mod there. Go invisible and dash a short distance. The dash, if you're going up, back, left, or right, is 2 squares, I believe, and then catty cornered, the diagonal ones is 1 square. This mod is probably the most valuable one to have. A lot of people expect you to stay in the same spot. If you move correctly, you can even dodge AoE blast like a Zuki rocket. Like, this Hunting Dog is so good. So good to have, like, you have no idea. And if you want to take the combination with bite and run, that means you're consistently dashing, consistently dodging abilities, and consistently going invisible to skirt around the map. Hunting Dog is my most #1 recommended mod to have for new and veteran players. I think this is something you have to have on Pub. Not a bad idea if you want to go with these. It depends on how your playstyle goes in your opinion, but I absolutely recommend Hunting Dog. Now, Supersonic. So, for Subwoof, oh gosh, I forgot to go over these, by the way. So, Prowl Protocol, gain invisibility and might for 3 turns, so you're invisible for a while, using an ability to remove the effects at the end of the turn. So, just so you know, yeah, you just basically go invisible, and then Hunting Dog allows you to dash a short distance during the dash phase. So if anyone's trying to dash on you, or if they're trying to attack you, you can potentially avoid all of that. Subwoof is the one that just about anyone should know if they've watched the trailer, stuff like that. It's when Puff gets all pissed off and he does his little bass that, in my opinion, because they take damage, literally just explodes everyone's ears. Or circuits if you're a robot. But anyways, so unleash a disorienting howl, dealing 45 direct damage to enemies and scrambling them next turn. Scramble is something people aren't used to anymore. It was, it used to be on Helio, and that's why Helio was overpowered for Season 1. Scramble means you can't use any ability except your first basic ability. So for Pup, it would be Megabite. You can't use any of your other 3 basic abilities, just your first one, and you can use your Catalyst. So don't think of that. By the way, while I'm here, like for the longest, I always get mad because I forget that. Now I finally corrected it. So yeah, Scramble is really useful. It used to be on Helio's wall, so when you go through it, you'd be scrambled. It made him overpowered as all can be for Season 1 because Scramble is so useful. I can't off the bat think of anyone else who has Scramble right now. I'm pretty sure 1 or 2 other freelancers have it, but off the back of my head, or I can't think of who has it. But anyways, let's go through the final mods here. Supersonic enemies are also revealed until the end of next turn. This is, again, specifically for Nyx. This build is specifically for Nyx. Sometimes I'll change these up a bit depending on his allies and who they've picked. But overall, Nyx, especially people who try to run Nyx Kaigen. Oh, please, if you see a Nyx Kaigen, please pick Pup. Please pick Pup. Because Supersonic, the huge AoE of Subwoof, especially on a small map, is likely to hit them. You're likely to hit them. So having reveal until next turn, this is so good. Now you can have that with the Megabite reveal, and I think Walkies already revealed, and Pounce reveals. You have 4 abilities that keep revealing people. So basically, you can keep revealing them. Although the rule of thumb with playing Pup versus Nyx, you know, I'll go over that when I get through the whole loadout stuff. So anyway, Supersonic, reveal until next turn. 211 adjacent enemies take 11 additional damage. So this already does 45. So if they're right around Pup, so if they're right next to Pup, not the far away as you see in this little video, but they're right next to Pup, they'll take an additional 11 damage. That's 56 damage if you're right next to them. And most Pup players do pop their ult when they're right next to somebody. So that means this can do quite a lot of damage. Resonant shields, gain 20 shields to the end of next turn. Again, another tankier build if you want to build that frontliner Pup. You can do this, it gives you some durability, a way to go in deep, get that ultimate, and not suffer for it the following turn. However, for that reason, I believe on my standard build, I have acoustic distraction, gain invisibility until the end of next turn. This is one of those that you want to use. Like, you gain invisibility until the next turn. This means that you can go in, invisible, ult, and then get out. That's so good. Like, that's so good in my opinion. Ooh, it's one of those coup de grace things where you can go in as an invisible Pup with Mited, obviously, pop your ultimate to burst these guys down, then go invisible and run off again, and then assassinate whoever tried to dash the turn after you use Subwoof. Oh, it's so good. It's such a good feeling. I love doing that. But that's on my standard build, I believe. Now, to speak about it, I want to talk about both loadouts. So this is the second half of the video. I know these are a little bit long, but I'm going to be putting timestamps in the description. Probably should have said that at the beginning of the video, but hopefully you're still watching. And I'll try to go over these builds real quick just so you guys see why I run each build. But let's get over this. Goodbye Nyx is, again, my Nyx build specifically for Nyx. If Kaigen's in it, then I might change things around just a tiny bit, like the reveal for Pounce, just for the extra reveal. But yeah, so for Goodbye Nyx, specifically against Nyx, I have Tasty Target. Once you get on Nyx with Megabite, that's it. That's it. He's not going anywhere. You can consistently chase him down. If you use Cattle, he's still revealed. If you use Kata, and most Nyx take Fade. So I mean, once you have Tasty Target, and then again, once you blow his Catalyst, Nyx becomes probably the most useless freelancer to use, because then he can't do anything. Then Pup just chases him down, and sure, Nyx can attack him, but then Pup heals, and Nyx slows him. Pup pounces or uses Walkies. Like, Pup is such a hard counter to Nyx in my opinion, and I have yet to meet a Nyx who's be able to outplay me when I play Pup. Pup is just that hard of a counter to Nyx. So Tasty Target is what I run for there. Playtime, increase range by 3. I've kind of explained this earlier. There's a lot of times when Nyx is across the room when he finally reveals himself. Then it's Pup, bam, just jump across half the map and take him down. Walkies, increase range by 1. Again, I told you it was more of a frustration thing with me where I wanted to hit Nyx and just... Oh, he was always one square out of the way. I might try experimenting with wear out a little bit because I think I'm undervaluing it just a tad bit, but I'm not sure. Like, mostly wear out, I've mostly seen people use Kata or Dash after Leash, so it ends up not being super useful, but I can see it being useful post 10, you know, once you get in the later stage of the game, the second half of the game. I can see where wear out could be extremely valuable. Prowl Protocol. So for Prowl Protocol, go invisible, dash short distance. I've already explained why this is super useful against Nyx. Again, you can dodge his basic, you can dodge his ultimate, you can dodge the slow. You cannot dodge the drone. So if he has a drone lined up and you dash through it, you will get hit by it, just so you know. So that's something to keep in mind. And again, supersonic subwoof. I've already explained why I take that versus invisible freelancers. So good, so good. My standard build here, kibbles. So this is what I run for standard non-Nyx, non-Kaigen stuff. Rabid, again, I've been experimenting with that quite a bit, doing insane amounts of damage. This is basically my like assassin build here. Playtime, increase the range by 3. I have no mod equipped. I talked about this earlier. Again, increase range by 3 is just so useful, so useful. Prowl Protocol, go invisible and dash short distance, and then gain invisibility until the next turn. Again, I told you why this is extremely useful. So good just to pop in out of invisibility, pop ult, and then pop right back on out. Makes you feel like a real assassin. So these are the 2 loadouts that I have for pup. And again, I run Kibbles, the Kibbles loadout only for standard matches, standard games, non-Nyx stuff. But usually I use the Goodbye Nyx build just because I only pick pup when I go against a Nyx. So let me know what you guys think about the builds. What builds are you running here? What have you found success with? I'm really curious to see what you guys think about pup overall, his mods. Again, I think, yeah, I think Feast is probably the most useless mod on pup, in my opinion. And that's not a shot at the devs, that's just, I don't see Feast being super useful. I'm sure there's some plays out there where Feast saved the game or saved a pup from dying. I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised, like I said, but it's still not something that I would use consistently. I think Feast is just too way too undervalued versus the other one of these. Like it's not valuable at all. Sorry. But that's it. I'm kind of rambling at this point. So thanks for watching, everybody, and check out for the next video. And let me know in the comments, who do you want to see next? Who do you guys want to see me do a mod review for? Again, I'll try to make these a little more in-depth as I did with pup. The last one, Tol-Ren, was pretty quick. So let me know, again, those 2 styles too. Do you like the Tol-Ren one where I was pretty quick? I just went over the mods real quick and what build I wanted to run for him as a standard build? Or do you like videos like this with pup where I go over each and every single mod, what it can be used for, and then give you a quick couple builds. This is what you can use for specific situations, this is what you can use as a standard situation. So again, thanks for watching, everyone, and I hope all of you have a fantastic day.